All right. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday, March 17th City Finance Committee meeting. I'm Mark Trenary, and we've got other members, John Morrissey, a council member, Eric Warden, council member, Mayor Rob Patanzu, Noah Crocker online right at this point, waiting for Nick Bond to show up here shortly.
And it looks like Nick has just arrived, so I will,
Perfect.
Nick, I'm going to try to promote you to a panelist. So you just hold steady there. And Nick Bond has now joined us. Perfect.
And there's Nick. So we've got a published agenda. We're going to go ahead and move that along a little bit, redistribute it to take care of the first item we want to discuss, and that is tent permit fees. Nick, you are the resident expert on that, so go ahead, take it away.
Well, let me give you some background because Larry Rubio reached out to me from the Saints Car Club. Historically, we have only charged the nonprofits the cost of the technology fee, I think it's called, the $10 technology fee, and we haven't charged anything for staff time for reviewing for large tents. Now, we're not talking the pop-up tents at a farmer's market. And the staff time to review the specifications for a tent, and then to go down to inspect that tent. And some events like the Saints Car Show has more than one tent, so that fee totaled $400. His proposed fee is $400. So we changed our code. And I'll let Nick take over from here when we change the code and that stuff. So Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, so last I think it was spring of 2025, we brought forward our city fee resolution for an update, and one of the things that we had proposed was to adopt a fee for membrane structures that would cover the actual cost of doing the review and going and inspecting. And frequently, these inspections are occurring nights and weekends because they set them up on a Friday afternoon. You have to go inspect it either on Friday night, and if there's something wrong, our inspector is often coming back on a Saturday. And so we tried to capture that usually this is one or two visits, and it's sometimes occurring after hours. And so Mayor, I don't recall where we landed on the fee, but I think it was 200 and something dollars.
I think it might be $200, but something of that nature.
And the only exception is some of the tents that get erected are by fireworks stands. And so there's an exception for fireworks stands because the fireworks lobby under state law has a provision that says you can't charge a fireworks stand more than $100 for a permit, and that would include any building permits for their tents. And so fireworks stands sort of have a loophole, but other tents have a fee that's based on our actual time to do the permitting and inspection of those facilities. And so we just received a complaint because there's an event that's putting up two tents, so they had to pay this fee twice. And then we're bringing it to your attention, not because we're proposing to change anything, just to let you know that there was concern from a nonprofit putting on an event, and they felt like that fee was too high or unfair.
Yeah, and that request was to waive the fee, and we don't have the authority to waive a fee. You guys establish fees. We're tasked with collecting those fees. We don't have the ability to waive a fee that the council's put in code to collect.
So what constitutes the difference between a pop-up tent and a membrane tent? What size?
There's a threshold in the building code for square footage, and I believe it's 200 square feet. So anything over 200 square feet has to have a building permit, and typically those get actually anchored in the ground, and have special assembly instructions to make sure that they are going to meet the wind load and the typically you don't deal with snow load on a tent, but certainly wind load is something that you have to account for in a structure that big.
Are there hands up? Go ahead, John.
Uh, Eric had his first, but I'm gonna jump in since you called me. So I hear the mayor telling us that we can't waive it. So what is our discussion? Are we trying to say that we want to maybe just get rid of that feed?
I'm just rise. I was asked to waive the fee. I said I told this organization that we can't do that, and I'm sharing the displeasure that We have the fee. It went from $10 to $400 for this organization, and that's a lot to a nonprofit. And I'm just raising the issue for you guys' discussion. You could choose to do nothing. You could,
So I want to add another layer to this because I do feel bad for our cruising car show because they have also asked, and we're going to talk about it tonight at council, to reopen the LTAC process. And I know what my response is going to be, but I want to make sure and verify that I'm the chair. But so they didn't get funded for that, right? So what I'm trying to say is in the past, they've gotten thousands of dollars out of LTAC for that, and they didn't get that. Even if I opened it again, I have no budget to reallocate because everybody's already under contract, right? So there's no dollars necessarily to reallocate them if I were to do that. So I do feel bad that they missed that opportunity, and I'd hate to compound that by making it worse by these fees. So if there was any way to say that we wouldn't charge that this year and that we'd come back next year, I don't know, but I'm just trying to give more information for us to make that decision. So that's all I had.
Eric?
Yeah, the first time we discussed it, it was $500, 250 each. Could be 400. It was just a random conversation that
yeah,
we
it was in my mayor's report.
yeah, ballpark. But is it the same tent, the same structure? So we're actually just reviewing one set of plans. If it's the same tent, you're really reviewing.
It could be what I don't know that could be, and it might not be.
It'd be nice to know. I mean, because
But even if it is today, if one of them got damaged and it was replaced, who's to say, I hear where you're going, that
yeah,
we're down
yeah.
there, and
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
maybe there needs to be a flat fee for this.
Or if it's the same, if it's like material, exact same thing.
Yeah.
A set of plans. I mean, I could see we're down there, just to split the difference in half and call it good.
Yeah,
But-
and are they being erected on the same day? So we would only be making one trip, or would we have to make additional trips? But I'm with Eric, let's split the thing. If we can go down there with one trip and inspect them and they're on site and fully up, split the difference, charge them a one-time fee that covers our costs, which is what we were concerned with when we first implemented the increase in the fee, was to cover our costs. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So
I
I
think-
think
Go
that we would have to amend the resolution, so we could certainly bring an amendment forward, but maybe it should be like a flat fee for the first tent and then $50 for each additional tent, so that you're capturing the economies of scale of
That's
only
fair.
making one trip for two tents, but still recognizing that there's additional time to do that second inspection.
That's fair. I like that.
I think that's fair as
Good.
well.
Yeah, good suggestion, Director Bond. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds doable to me too.
Yep.
Okay, so it's got to go to the full council with a
Yep.
recommendation from the finance committee that Nick's going to come up with a flat fee that covers our costs, and then some sort of per tent. And what he threw out there was $50 for the future, the other tents. So hopefully that satisfies Saints. I mean, they didn't want to pay any fee. They didn't pay much of anything, but we're trying to cover our actual costs for these events.
I just paid $110 fee down there just now. So, yeah. I didn't want to
And
pay.
thank you.
I didn't want to pay it either. Yeah.
I hear it.
So, but Nick, we're talking about coming down at the same time, not having to make an additional visit. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll have to wordsmith it, but it's a pretty straightforward thing to prepare. I just need to write something up and try to get it on the council agenda for you.
Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer to me.
Okay, so maybe next week's finance committee or director's report, that'll get discussed. So the rest of the council is aware of it. So we don't have to take it to a work. This is pretty a minor thing. And we're versus dragging out, taking it to a work study. And we'll just, as long as nobody objects when they hear about it in the director's report or the finance committee report, then we'll bring it forward at the soonest council meeting we can.
I was thinking we could have it next Tuesday, and maybe we can just mention it tonight at the work study.
Okay, in the good of the order. That's fine. Okay.
Okay.
I'll add it to my good of the order.
Yeah, I like that idea because then we can just get it on consent agenda too.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Move it forward quickly and get her done. Okay. All right. So the next topic on our agenda tonight is sales tax and REIT revenue reports. Mr. Crocker, this is you. You're on mute, Noah.
And those numbers were not in my email. Those are different numbers than I got.
I called him out on that. He sent the wrong report. Actually, in his defense, it was the monthly reports.
Just last month.
It wasn't for tonight's meeting. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are trying to get caught up on our monthly reports. I just pushed out our January monthly report. I'm hoping to complete February by the end of the week. I'm hoping. So you might see another monthly report come out and then we'll be caught up. But so tonight I did want to bring forward the February data. And I will email this out to the finance committee and post it. I just have been frantically pulling documents together and materials together. So I apologize that I have a lot of material to go through, but I didn't have the opportunity to get it out to you guys earlier like I normally do. But what we want to show here is we had a good, decent record of sales tax revenue for February. We collected $712,000. In February 2025, we collected $720,000, so we're roughly $8,000, $7,000 shy of last year, so 1% less than last year. But it does tip us over our budget, so you can see that overall for the year 2026, we are 2% ahead of budget. So that's a positive swing with the February collections. Scroll on down to REIT, similar story here. Close to what we collected in 25. So we're 21,000 shy of 2025, so roughly 13% less. But with compared to budget, 19% over budget. So again, that pushes us up above our budgeted values for the first 2 months of the year. So while the actuals are still trending year over year, when we compare them to budget, we have now pushed back over to the positive category. So that's good from a budgeting perspective. And again, we'll just continue to monitor the actual activity, especially as we move into the next, 4 or 5 months and moving into budget season for 27, 28. That's something we're really going to want to hone in on to make sure we continue to maintain this, conservative fiscal approach to budgeting, that we hit our marks, but recognizing that the actual activity has been for the last 18 months, a little less than year over year. So overall, better news than last month. Any questions on sales tax or REIT?
No.
No. Great. So the next topic on the agenda I wanted to cover was we've briefly talked about bringing E&R and fleet review and conversations to the finance committee. I'm hoping to do this in multiple bites at the apple of fleet and E&R because there's a lot to talk about. So we're not going to get into everything. So what I was hoping to today, just do a high-level overview of what the fleet looks like as of the end of 2026, assuming all purchases and all obligations have been received and completed. Okay, so that's where we just take a quick look at with a few slides, and then I want to take some feedback from you guys, what you'd like to see in future meetings. Again, a lot of this is going to be kind of just preparing the finance committee for the overall 27-28 budget and getting you guys comfortable and familiar with the E&R and fleet. So when we look at overall our fleet summary, I'm going to show this table first. What we have in the fleet is 97 vehicles and equipment. Again, some of these equipment is specialty, broken down to in primary departments are DCD, police, and public works. I have in this table, I have it broken out by all vehicles and then by DCD, police, and then different funds. So we got general fund, streets, water, sewer, and storm based on vehicle class and where that vehicle resides.
Director Crocker, so this is just everything that's in ER&R, or this is our entire fleet?
Yes, everything that's in ER&R.
Okay, so there could be other vehicles that the city owns, but just not part of the ER&R process?
I would be, no, I don't think so. I think every vehicle is a part of our ENR. We do have some vehicles that we maintain as a part of ENR, but are not funded through ENR. And we describe those as kind of non-funded vehicles that if they break, we are just completely surplusing them, but we're hanging on to them as a surplus vehicle. And in case of emergency, just have some backup. But we keep that very, very minimal because we know that these vehicles are at the end of their useful life and they're prone to break down, and we anticipate they will break down.
For sure. I was just making sure I understood what we're looking at because, like, the mayor will drive a car, right? But I don't see like an admin car on here.
We don't have one.
But I mean, so do you just use a public works when you need when you need something, or you use something else?
No,
Like,
I use my personal vehicle.
oh, I thought you drive a vehicle sometimes.
I used to.
Okay.
I don't any longer. I have a
Oh,
car
okay.
stipend.
I was just trying to
but
figure
that-
out whether or not there was existing vehicles outside of what's in here. So that
No.
just made me think of it as like, I think
At one point, we had one administrative vehicle, and then we were going to buy another vehicle, and we positioned, moved away from that and provided the administrative vehicle to DCD for an inspection vehicle. And right now, it's being used by parking enforcement, other than it's broken. But it will be back out in parking enforcement soon.
cool, perfect. Sorry to interrupt. Keep going.
Nope.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Good question.
Hey, Noah,
Yes, sir.
any idea how many pre-surplus vehicles we have laying around that we could access if need be?
Yes. Yeah, we have that.
Okay. I don't care what the number is. I'm just wondering if we had that, if we had an actuality number on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I should be making notes to bring some. If you're interested, I can bring all of that back.
So no, was it the last meeting or is it next meeting where we're going to, here's an anomaly, is that we're needing to buy another vehicle, okay? But instead we purchased a vehicle and we were about to surplus one. The mechanic, uh, did an evaluation of the vehicle and said, hey, this vehicle's in good shape. We can keep this a few more years. So now we're adding it back into this chart, and we're going to plan for that replacement because we grew staff and we needed to buy another vehicle anyway and add to the fleet. But it made more. So we had a vehicle though that wasn't beyond its use. It got this our schedule said it was going to be wore out. When we evaluated it by the mechanic, it still had some life left in it. So we're making a conscious decision to hang on to that vehicle. And is that was that last week or this coming week's agenda that action item is on there for the council to recognize that back into the ER&R fund? He's drawn a blank, but we just talked about it last week.
I don't believe we've talked about that at council.
We talked about it at the
Yeah, we did.
directors meeting.
Yeah. So
And
I
we're going to
think
add it to the agenda.
yeah. So let's do this. Let's focus on the material I got. Then we'll
Okay.
have lots
I'm sorry. I took us down
side
a rabbit hole.
conversations. No, they're fair questions. I just want to kind of give this as laying the foundation. So again, back 97 vehicles. You'll see that 28 are specialty equipment vehicles. I kind of want to just briefly touch on those because I think the rest of these vehicles make sense. They're cars and trucks, really, cars and trucks. But the specialty equipment vehicles are the more expensive vehicles, the bigger trucks, the bigger dump trucks, our 550 dump trucks, our large dump trucks, a bucket truck, our backhoes, brush cutters, excavators, skid steers. So kind of all those specialty equipment that is very expensive. And you'll see they're primarily housed in our utilities, our water, sewer, storm funds are generally what use those.
But also, Noah, but like these vehicles here, when it goes to replacement, though, some are based off of hours and some are based off of miles.
Correct.
What do you
So,
do? Go ahead.
Yeah, so in the policy, we have 3 indicators for when something should be replaced. It's years that we've
Mhm.
owned it, miles on the vehicle, and then hours of use.
Yeah.
So we use those 3 indicators to determine whether the vehicle needs to be surplus in the next coming budget cycle or not. Because some of the vehicles may have a lot of years on them, but low miles and in excellent condition when evaluated by the mechanic. In that case, we leave it up to the director to say, hey, we've evaluated this as good to, fair to good condition. We expect to last another 4 years. would you like to keep in the fleet? And they'll say yes or no. But others, they'll say, yeah, we have so many hours on the generator. We need to replace this, right? So the
Yeah.
miles and years don't necessarily make sense.
Yeah, because a Vector truck could have so many hours on a pony motor that runs it versus miles on the vehicle.
Correct. Yep.
Just
And that's
more-
what you expect, right? Because
more
you just don't
complex,
drive it
yeah.
around. Yeah,
Mhm.
you're driving it and then you're just running the machine.
Right. Mhm.
Yep. But this gives you a list of those kind of specialty equipment and vehicles that are, are generally larger purchases that we have. So again, the next three slides, it's trying to make this as simple as clean, just a little baseline, not going too deep. For community development, they have a total of 6 vehicles. Again, this is projecting as of the end of 2026. So as of this moment, they have a couple of vehicles that are in the shop, so they don't have them up. They got some vehicles in order. So this anticipates that when we close 2026, end of year, we'll have all our vehicles as obligated and planned. Okay, just keep that in mind. So DCE would have 5 vehicles, 6 vehicles. They got 1 small truck and then 5 EVs between a car and SUVs. The police department, you'll see that 85% of their fleet are their SUVs. We got 2 hybrid SUVs. The police department actually has 2 boats, and I suspect in our next biennial budget, the chief will come and talk a little about one of those boats that needs a replacement. He's working on a plan, I believe, with the fire department on that, and that's going to be a very large expense.
He brought
So
that
we
to
have,
us already. Yep.
yeah, so two items there, and then we have a couple trailers to tow the boats and stuff. So that would make up their overall fleet, which is pretty standard, right? SUVs, truck vehicles for police. DCD is the one, or excuse me, Public Works is the one that has a mix of equipment and vehicles, which kind of makes sense. So when you look at it, we got some SUVs here for Public Works. You got some gas powered and EV. So for Public Works, we have 11 vehicles that are EV, which represents 20% of their fleet. 30% of the fleet is a mix of 150 trucks, 250 trucks, and 350 trucks. So the larger towing capacity trucks for the very different enterprises. And then again, 50% of that fleet is made up of that specialty equipment, those big CCTV truck, the Vector trucks, the John Deere tractors, all those kind of things. So half their fleet is really a specialty equipment. 30% is I'd say bigger trucks, the 250s and 350s and 450s. And then you have a small portion, 20% of the fleet is SUVs and EVs.
And the van is the mechanic's mobile toolbox.
Yep. So I think this graph wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So I'm just going to flip back real quick and then we can move on because the EVs have come up quite a bit. But again, I just want to highlight that we have only 11 in Public Works. And when you look at where those EVs are, you'll see that 5 are being paid for out of the general fund because these are for parks and admin folks. You have 1 EV essentially in each of the utilities between water, sewer, and storm. You got 2 in storm, but water has 1, sewer has 1, and street has 1. So when we look at the fleet, the street fund has a mix of the small EV truck for daily use, run around admin support. They have the larger trucks, 250s, they have 350s, and they have their specialty trucks. So I'm hoping on our next go around, can share with you what we have. We're developing a ER&R book that kind of really identifies each of the facilities, enterprises, and the equipment that are in them. So you can really get a full picture of what that looks like. This table didn't do it justice, and I was rushing to get that book, but I just didn't pull it off in time. So I have a draft. We're tweaking a little bit, and I can just give you a quick little sample of what I'm talking about. For example, here is how we would display facilities, and you can see in the facilities department, we have 1 250, a 3/4 pound truck, 3/4 ton truck, and then we have 1 F-150, an EV. We have 1 Ford Escape, and then these 2 are for the mechanics. So we really have 1 250 and 1 F-150 in our facilities department.
Director, is this an easily manipulated file? Can you add to this?
Yes, I can, if you would like some more information on it. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so I
Yep.
think that there would be two things I would be curious on.
Okay.
For any one of these would be current total number of miles and or when we got it, right? So a scheduled replacement, right? 2034. That tells me nothing. If we that might be a great number, but it might be a terrible number because maybe we got it this year or maybe we got it 5 years ago. I don't know, but that would tell me
Okay. Purchase date.
purchase date.
Okay.
Maybe purchase date and maybe miles nobody else cares about, right? Just something to me. Those are the indicating tools on whether or not they would might need to be replaced.
Yeah, I think the miles, because that's going to be always a moving target then. Where the purchase date, that's a solid number. That's when we
Yeah,
bought
at
it.
least then you got it. Yeah, so again,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
at least the
I mean,
purchase.
we can certainly share the miles data on each of the equipment. We got mileage logs, so we can share that as part of our evaluation. I don't know if I'd want to put it in a book though, as a. I mean, we
Purchase
could. Let me
date for
think about.
me for sure would definitely
Okay.
be useful.
Okay.
So Noah is the city on, looks like a 10-year swap out?
I believe it is. I believe it's on the F-150s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, most of these newer trucks have at least an 8 to 10 year warranty. So I think that's what we're planning.
Yeah. Okay.
At least powertrain.
Yep. So again, it's in draft form. It'll kind of look like this. I want to display what the truck looks like so you can get a feel for that and what it actually is. And then we'll describe exactly what it does. So for example, this says public works crews, transportation to work sites, carrying tools, towing trailer equipment. That's what our 3/4 ton 250 does for the facilities department. And then I think what I want to have also next time we have this conversation is, and I'll work with Public Works on this, on the FTE count. So you'll know in the facilities department, we really have one full-time FTE for facilities, and then we have a lead that kind of serves over that. So when we look at the two trucks, you say, well, you only have two trucks. And I say, yes, but we only have 1.5 full-time employees for the facilities department, right? So it kind of make a little more sense when you look at the different departments, the breakout of trucks. And again, that's important. Again, you see a mix of, say, lighter duty vehicles with heavier duty vehicles. And as you get into the enterprises, let me if I can fast forward to all police cars. I'll fast forward to a sewer department or even a storm. Storm department has lots of specialty equipment, sweeper trucks, vac trucks, CCTV trucks that are funded out of that, storm pond mowers. So they have lots of specialty equipment, but it's not one for one in an FTE count, right? Because we're just building up our storm department employees. So we'll have a lower FTE count when we look at the total equipment and assets that we have funded from storm.
When it comes to like the mini excavator as an example, it's on the screen. Do you wastewater, stormwater, water, everyone can use it. They just bill it out as they use it. But it's actually one utility actually it's claimed by, correct?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, and
Okay.
it's usually the original utility that bought it.
Correct.
Because sometimes we buy these equipment with grant money, like some of the mowers we bought with grant money.
For sure.
So that utility owns it. And where we're going with ENR, we really want to get to a daily rate, a rate rental model. And so you're probably familiar with that, Eric.
Mhm.
We're not quite there, but that's where we're working towards. So then it makes it a lot easier to manage the fleet that we are truly renting out these things very at a daily rate to each other. And we'll track it that way.
Yeah, it makes sense with the trucks, the every routine stuff, but like, I mean, the TV truck that could be used, right? I mean, consistently by multiple utilities.
Yeah, and currently we have that split between sewer and storm.
Yep.
So, right, and that, kind of how we paid for it and our intended use of it.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to bring this book back next time. We got a draft of it. I wasn't quite ready for showtime, but I want to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Because I think for me, it's a lot easier to look at the book, look at my parks department, see what equipment it has, the pictures, and then in order to talk about the ER&R.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll add in there a purchase date into the book. And then I'll take additional recommendations next time we kind of roll it out. But I think that's a good tool that we use internally as we kind of talk about ER&R. So again, not a whole lot into the deepness of it, but high level view. And again, I'll push out the material so you can just have an idea snapshot of what vehicles we have and where they're located as far as funding sources. And then we'll continue to build on this each month. So the next topic I have on here is for utility policies. Now, Eric, you were not on the finance committee last year, so this will be fresh to you. And Mark and John, this might be a little bit rusty, but we did talk about this almost a year ago. And then we didn't take any action at the time, so I just want to bring it up for two reasons. We'll look at low income first. So I want to talk about what low income is. At the city, we have a low income discount program for our utility rates. So Portrait offers reduced base rates for citizens with low income. A low income household is one that annual income does not exceed 125% of the U.S. Census Department's poverty threshold. Okay. Household income includes salaries, wages, interest, dividends, and other earnings, which are reportable as federal income tax purposes. I guess I should start off. The reason I'm bringing to this now is because we update our program in April. So that's when we generally push out our letters to our low-income users to update to come in and revalidate their information to ensure that they still qualify for the program. So this is an important point because this is how they get qualified. They have to meet the 125% of the U.S. Census Department's poverty threshold in order to qualify for the program. So when we get low-income citizens that come in, here's the table that we are using. This is based on 2026, so this is currently and up-to-dated. So an individual who is under 65 years old and has no kids in the house, making less than, I'm going to say 21,000, would qualify for the program. That individual, if they make over 21,000, does not qualify for the program. Again, that's based on 125% of the poverty threshold size of family unit. And that was originally established by the city because that's kind of the standard that we see other jurisdictions use in their low-income programs. A family or a household, let's say, with two people in it, households that with 65 years and older, again, if they make more than 25,000, I'll say, they don't qualify. So what this table shows you is the threshold in which they have to qualify. I just want to pause and make sure that's clear at this moment as you're kind of looking at the table.
This is a pretty standard program nationwide. This is a pretty
I think most jurisdictions offer a low income, or they call it senior citizen. We call it low income programs. And so when we established the program, we built it based on our neighboring jurisdictions and their thresholds. And that's where we came up with the 125%.
Okay.
And the reason we use the U.S. Census Bureau because it's a federally established benchmark that is easily administratable for us as we can update the program each year.
Director Crocker, does it make sense to have two different thresholds for the 1 and 2 person houses for their age? I mean, the one we're not talking a whole lot of difference here with about $1,500 in total income. Is that an issue with staff? Is it easier to just make it one number instead of 2? Because I noticed when we get into 3, 4, 5, or 6 people, we don't have the 65 years or older. I do understand that most households that are going to have more than 2 people probably aren't going to be over 65, but there could be some that are. Do you have a separate tier for those that have extra people in their household?
We do not. No, again, this table is right out of the U.S. Census Bureau's table. So
I'm sorry. Okay, so that's not a policy of ours. That's just okay. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it's the benchmark that we apply. The policy of ours would be the 125% of the poverty threshold table in the size of the family unit. So we are adopted their table and applied our 125% to establish our own values. So let me see here. So for example, I just want to highlight this. So all utility rate discounts. So our current 2026 rates for water, sewer, and again, these are just applying to base rates, would have a total cost of $280. Did I pass the slide? I must have. Okay, well, we're gonna go for it. Would have a total cost of 280. Our discount is currently 25%. So when you apply the reduction to the base, that low income, if they get qualified, would pay 210. Essentially what this table is showing you. Regular person pays 280 in base fees. If you are eligible as a low income citizen, you get the 25% discount, and then you would pay 210 in your base total. Again, consumption is billed as consumption, so there's no discount there. So with our current 25% discount, that equates to roughly $70 of discount per billing cycle, or $420 per year per account. Our goal when we started this program, almost in 2023, I believe we started this program, was to get up to about 25 accounts. We're just beginning the program, put a target of 25 accounts. We polled Paulsbo and Gig Harbor and Bremerton, asked them how many accounts they have, and they were in that kind of 20 to 25 range. So I guess that's why we were trying to target 25 accounts as a benchmark for us. If the 25 accounts were filled, that would cost the city roughly $10,000 in foregone revenue. Okay, here we are. Program started in 23. Yep, 24 accounts have been approved through the program in 2025. So almost at our target. I guess that's good. Again, total financial impact to the city is roughly $8,000 of discounts. And so the utility group and the utility team kind of want to know what we should do going forward. We have a couple of choices: maintain the current two levers here. The threshold, which is that 125% of the poverty, which determines whether you're eligible or not for the program. And the other part of the program is the discount. So two levers that we can tinker with to either grow the program or keep it status quo, or pull it back. You can see again, this far it's not big dollars we're talking about here, $8,000 to $10,000 in foregone revenue to the city so far per year. And so again, the question from the utility team is, do we maintain the course when we roll into this next April 2026? Do we tinker with the threshold? Does council have any desire to adjust the threshold or adjust the discount? And that's why I wanted to bring it to you guys to ask the question.
Oh, sorry, Mark. You want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So with the lack of participation that I see, and the lack of impact to the city that I see, I'm curious if we can, I don't want to say incentivize it, but maybe we need to advertise it better. Maybe we need to market it better versus changing the cost of it. Am I off on that? Versus I think we're not getting enough participation in it because the information may not be out there.
Well, I think our utility clerks do a good job. That
Yeah.
Generally the people that are going to qualify this program are generally the people that are asking for, anything that we can do to help lower their bill. So we're generally talking with those people directly. I think what you find is when you roll back to the thresholds, it's fairly low income threshold that would qualify, right?
Correct.
And that's what I'm saying. You really have two levers here to use to either try to grow your program or stay the status quo. And we did put together, so if you want to adjust the threshold level, we did put together just real quick what that would look like. Again, we're at 125% right now. You can move up 130 to 150, anywhere in this range. Again, we're just asking for feedback. What would you like to do? I believe last year the answer was status quo. So we stayed status quo. So I'm bringing it back again. So I think, I don't know if advertising is going to do much more.
No, I thought you want, the way I was interpreting it was you're trying to say, how do we grow it? But I'm following what you're saying. I'm following. Yeah. And with the cost of things, for me, I wouldn't mind going to the 150. It's a lot. It's a big jump, but at the same time, $10,000 is not a lot of money. that city lost out on.
Nick,
To your earlier point, Megan started last week. This could be something that we
Yeah, that's
has
okay.
has a bigger we're doing a new web page.
Mhm.
It could have be much more prominent on our new web page and
Yeah.
have this information so that they don't have to find out about it after the fact from the utility clerk and they've got a very large water bill that they're trying to pay. To get at it at the front side would be the best way to do it.
that's true. Nick, you got
I
your
was
hand
just
up?
going to point out too that if you remember our opportunity zone discussion, the two census tracts that have the lowest incomes in the city are on West Sound. And so I think a lot of the customers in our community that have need are West Sound utility customers, maybe more so than city customers. There's certainly areas of the city that do have lower incomes, but it's much more on the Bethel corridor.
Oh,
So, so Noah, you said our goal was 25 citizen accounts and we're at 24 already. When did we open this program?
In 2023, we adopted the program.
Yeah, so it has had some decent usage to this point.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I
John.
mean, and it's a soft goal. I mean, we just kind of looked at what our neighboring jurisdictions were getting in this kind of program, and we thought, okay, if they're getting it, then that's I guess we should be trying to get. Again, it's a fine balance when you offer a discount to one group of utility customers because that ultimately gets me up at the end. But you see, it's not big dollars we're talking here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right,
John.
John.
Yeah, thank you. I think when it comes to making that decision, I'd have to have a different set of data.
Okay.
'Cause I'm kind of trending with Mark, right? Because you said, well, your goal's 25, you're at 24. I don't really know that we want to change it. But then when I look at some of the other data that you threw in front of us, especially with those incomes, I'm sitting there looking, go to the one you were showing just before this screen. Yeah, yeah, the
This one,
one, yeah, that one there.
examples. Okay.
I mean, I hate to say this out loud, but I couldn't imagine
No, I know.
trying to live on $20,936, right? Like I
Right.
couldn't make that work in my household. Um,
It's like somebody that we're probably helping is a senior
Mhm.
who
I'm following all that,
home's
but I
paid
mean,
off. They've got
but
a senior exemption on the property taxes,
I
and
mean,
there's
I'm saying like if you're making 20,000, even if you're making that property tax exemption, I mean, again, we got to watch the wording on that because you still end up paying those taxes back. It's just
yeah,
you
your
pay it when you
state
sell
does,
the
yeah.
house, right? It's not cash flow right now. So I just even groceries right now, I think half of that would be taken in groceries for the year. So what I guess I'm trying to get at, director, is I'd be interested to how many people have applied for it that did not get it versus, hey, we got 24 people using it, right? So if I'm hearing that
I think
700 people
yeah,
applied
yeah.
for it and 24 people were granted, maybe I'd be apt to using it. But if I'm going to hear that only 3 people didn't get accepted, I don't know if it's worthy of change. I guess I don't know if I have the right data set in front of me.
Yeah, and I think that actually is the answer, John. I checked, and I believe we only had turned away 2 people last year, and I would guess it's based on they just tipped over this threshold, right?
Okay.
And they obviously expressed, their
So,
frustration because it's a low threshold.
so with that little bit of added information, I'd like to find something right in the middle, right? And I guess there's none of them that are right smack in the middle. I'd be interested going to either 135 or 140 and see what kind of difference that might make. And if it's still not making a huge difference, maybe we go all the way to 150 next year. I don't know. Because I'm torn between these two things. One, we only had 2 people not get it, so it seems like it should be okay. But maybe people are just seeing that dollar number and just not applying to begin with because they know they wouldn't qualify.
Yep.
But I just look at these numbers and I'm with Councilmember Warden there, like I mean, a 5-person household making 50, I just that's tough for me. So I want to be able to add some relief to the folks that need it. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, if I can add mine, I would expect with some additional marketing, we would get some more potential takers, but also if we increase that example or increase that threshold up, um, there's not that much of a difference, quite frankly, between the 140 and 150.
Correct.
What are the drawbacks, if any, if we took it to 150 and then, oh my gosh, we had 200 families take advantage of it, and now it's well over what we were expecting. What are the disadvantages of clawing some of that back perhaps in coming years?
Well, I mean, that would be a significant jump, right? Going from 24 individuals to 200. That'd
Mhm.
be a massive growth program. I don't know if we
But
would see that,
I,
but
I might suggest this though, right? So if we're 24 and we're spending 10 grand a year, let's just say we went to 240, let's say we're up to $100,000 a year. That total amount of income and our total utility that is $100,000, 1% of total
right.
utility spend.
Our water utility is not healthy. So we would need to, something that magnitude, we would need to pass on to
The
the
capital fund or the operating fund?
operating fund is
Okay.
not healthy.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I couldn't imagine it jumping that large,
Right.
especially Dr. Bond's comment about the
Yeah, yeah.
targeted areas. I was kind of surprised by that. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being aggressive, but I think with the cost of everything and the participation level that we have, the 150, but maybe with the marketing that we put out there, it might jump, but I think it might jump 15 people.
It,
I mean, which
Why
is
don't we,
good.
why don't we take us, if you guys
Right.
want to move it,
Right.
let's take a small step and
Yeah.
revisit it in a year
well,
and do some marketing.
I was just going to ask that, Mayor, right? Director Cocker, is there anything that says that we only can do this in April of every year? Can we only get one bite at the apple?
I'd have to look back to the ordinance to see it.
So if it's not the case, I'd like to throw out this little twist and say, let's just put it up at 150 because I think I heard that both Councilmember Trenary and Councilmember Warden are both interested in moving it all the way there. I'm not opposed to it. I thought that might be a big jump and nobody else would be in favor of that. Let's just say we did it, and then if we got too much activity, we just revisit it and bring it back to the committee, and we'd be prepared to move one way or another based off of the impact.
I think that helped the marketing tool too we have to move it, I think, in order to help the marketing tool, right? Like that helps say, hey, we've increased the income limit threshold. Yep.
Mhm.
That'd be a good marketing tool to do something.
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
that I'm not against the 150, but
I kind of caution you, just let's take a baby step here though, because it's tough to claw back.
so 140, which is 3,000.
135, 140, and do some marketing and measure it again. And if we're still not getting any reaction, touch it again. But it's tough to claw back. If we get a whole bunch of people at 150, and now to tell 200 people now you don't qualify, that's
Yeah,
tough.
I think that's struggle. I don't think there's still going to be a ton of people. I'm looking at even at the when I look at the 140, I think I took the $23,449. That's still under $2,000 in total income a month. I think even I'm not saying all, most
Mm.
people on Social Security are making higher than that. At least in my experience, in my day job anyway. So just a thought. I think we need to move it at least 140, whether or not we move, or I was going to say 135 or 140. I think we need to move it in some capacity. I'm open to going all the way to 150.
Okay, and then I want to keep this moving forward. So you're open to moving it forward 140 to 150. We'll come back, I think, and talk about it again because it has to get approved by the full council. And then is there any interest in changing the discount rate then? So one is eligibility requirements, which I think is what we're all seeing here is that even changing it, you still have low income requirement thresholds you have to meet. So we might not see a huge uptick in the number of applicants, but then the other piece of this is the impact to each applicant. So currently we have a 25% discount. So we did some alternative scenarios here. If you were interested in increasing the discount, again, don't have to. We throw out 30%, 35, and 45% if you wanted to. Again, here's would be the annual impact to each account. Currently, it's $420. If we go 30%, it'd be $504, 588, 756. So you can see that total impact to the city if you increase the discount based on the 25, we go from 10,000 roughly to 20,000. So you got two levers again. One is to get more people into the overall pool. The other lever is to increase the discount to have a greater impact for those individuals.
I would be inclined to look at increasing that discount to 35%. We're helping that meant that much more with the low income folks. Again, and I'm taking the approach of the mayor, somewhat conservative approach. If we look at this in the following years and we're healthy with it, we liking the returns, we can always modify it down the road.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right, let me bring this back to utility team. A range of 140 to 150 eligibility requirements, and then increasing the discount to roughly 35%. Okay, great, thank you.
Did they have recommendations?
You know, again, this is really a council policy decision. These are tight ranges, as you can see, not super big impact. So it's, no, I mean, the suggestions we put forward kind of for you to consider. Do you like these ranges? And then all we can do is put it out there for a year and come back and check and see if it made an impact. You know, did we bring in more people into the program?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really liked and would like to encourage you to keep a good listing of the number of folks that may not be eligible with any of these changes. I think that's important for us to look at and engage moving forward with this program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like John hit on it, sometimes people self-select themselves out of any data collection because they say, hey, these thresholds, I'm not even close, right? So they're not going to make the phone call.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'd like to move on to the next topic. Again,
Can
still
I ask
in
a process question here? So I think we've heard there's a recommendation from the Finance Committee. Is this going to a work study? Is this coming back to this committee? Is it going to go to the Utilities Committee with a recommendation from the Finance Committee? I'm just trying to understand what our next step is here.
The last one is what I heard Noah say, but I'll defer to him. Did I
Yes, I
hear
looked at,
you were going to take that to utilities?
I'm in the utility team here and the staff and put
Ah.
together
Oh,
a package
Okay.
to bring
that's where
back,
I
but
was
that's good.
confused.
That's good clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, this is all financial. So usually in the past, I think the Finance Committee took this on and adopted this when we
Okay.
established the program and monitored the
Okay.
program because of the financial considerations.
Okay.
I was confused. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I asked the
No,
question.
that's good clarity. Yeah. So do we want to what do we want to do, I guess?
I'm gonna move forward to council.
Take it to your staff and then bring it to a council study session.
Yeah.
So
Do
next
you want a
month,
study session or a regular council meeting?
Yeah, I think they're going to get too many people with an opinion if you just bring it straight to a council for a vote. I think you're better off bringing this topic to a study session.
okay, we'll get it added to the work
Okay.
study next month.
Yeah, gather some consensus before we hit the dais.
Yep, that's just fine. So the other topic in utilities is a water leak policy. So currently, just as a refresher, we have a water leak credit adjustment policy, which was established in 1996,
And it's inadequate.
which says that, you know, if someone has a water leak, they can apply for the water leak, giving as long as they do certain things like notify the city, have a plumber come out and fix the leak and demonstrate that with receipts. The city may waive up to $100 to cover the cost of the wasted water. So this has come up, you know, multiple times over the years as not a large amount of water leak credit. When someone has a, you know, a burst pipe, it barely covers the plumber coming out on site.
$700 water bill. Increase. It went because now here's the beautiful thing is now we have mostly electronic meters. and we can catch these things much quicker. But man, when a pipe breaks, a lot of water runs out of it before it gets turned off.
I didn't see your hand up, Mayor.
I'm just sharing personal experience.
That is all correct. So I'm bringing it back again to see if the Finance Committee would like to address this. Again, we've heard over the years from our customers that actually get the leak credit that, come on, you're only giving me $100. Like, that doesn't cover the plumber coming out to see my house. It's not a very meaningful credit from their perspective, the customer's perspective. And the mayor is correct. We put in a lot of radio meters, so we're monitoring that more closely than we ever have before. I do anticipate it will come up from one time to time that there could be a large leak pipe break, for example. And so staff, city utility staff have come forward with a recommendation. To Trinary's question before, they have recommended that we change it from $100 max to up to 75% credit. So we put together a couple options here to show you kind of what that looks like. So what the customer would be responsible for, they'd be responsible for their regular monthly amount, and then any amount above their regular would be considered the leak amount. So we establish what the amount is a leak. Good, John?
Director Kreger, pardon, and I should know this by now, but I think I sometimes pay attention, and I then always place on my personal hat, and I don't pay city water. I pay Bremerton, so I have a different bill every month based off of my usage. Do the city of Port Orchard not have theirs different every
Yeah, it's
month?
different. It's different. It's different.
It is different.
bi-monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we would establish a 3-year average. This is what we do with our customers. We establish a 3-year average to determine what amount is above their normal usage that would be considered due to the leak.
Aha. When you said normal bill, you meant when, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so-
that was my first question. And then my next question is, when we say 100% of the leak up to $100, but there's a majority of them are more than 100?
Almost all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if a leak was like $80, they would get $80.
Okay.
But most tend to be over $100, tend to be several $1,000s, you know.
Do they? Okay, that was more my question. Did you provide us that average and I missed it?
No, I was just about to walk through kind of what our normal.
Oh, okay.
Leak
I'm just
credits
jumping
are.
ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
I would say though, if I could interject here, I would say the new water meter communications would slow down, or excuse me, would increase the speed of our knowledge, so it would shrink the amount of water loss that a customer would have. I know I had one too, and it took a billing for us to figure out that it was actually my meter, and you wouldn't have that now with the new communication from the meter head. So keep that in mind when you're considering these.
Yeah, with the spring coming up, a lot of irrigation systems getting turned on. People are at work when they're running, you know, they don't know that things are just blowing, you know. So we'll see them.
Yeah, and while we have the technology, it's not perfect, right? We might miss accounts, and we're trying to monitor for continuous flow, but it might not send an alert. So we're trying to monitor different ways. But it's a vast improvement over where we were maybe even 3 or 4 years ago, where you were literally waiting on a 2-month billing cycle to find out if you had a leak or not, and you wouldn't know that till you got the big bill, and we wouldn't know that either. So that is a very good point. So staff have recommended up to so going again away from a $100 max to 75% of the leak value. And so I just kind of walk through this simple scenario, hopefully. So option 1, if you were at 50%, so we're recommending 75, but if you're at 50% and the leak amount was the dollar amount attributable to the leak was $500, so that's over the regular determined bill, then the city would credit $250 and the customer would pay $250. I'm going to scroll down here, option 3, because 75% was the recommendation from staff. So the credit would be $375 and the customer would pay $125. We did note here that Bremerton does a 50% leak credit, and Paulsbo does nothing. So diverse ends of the scale. Yep.
Does Bremerton have a cap on that, or just 50%?
I think just 50%. Yep. And Bremerton is also on radio meters as well. So they are also right in step with us.
Yeah, I think they did it the same time we did.
Yeah. So what I wanted to walk through is just some normal common situations, kind of what you were pointing at, John. So the current normal bill would normally be $143, call it. And that's 15,000 gallons. The leak bill, they had pipe burst and had 100,000 leak. The bill would become $770. With a $100 cap, that means that they would be responsible for $670 and we would give them $100 credit.
Did you use my account as an example?
No, but that would have been clever.
This sounds very familiar. And then
So
you got to play. Then you get to pay the plumber too.
the customer has lots of
And he
complaints.
started talking about that, and that's where I was going to draw the line because I'm not going to pay for somebody's plumber. You're not taking care of your regular maintenance. I understand a leak, and you don't want to have to pay for the water that you didn't know was leaking, but not paying for your plumber.
No,
Yeah.
I no, I'm not saying you should, but
No, yeah,
that adds to the insult here is that, and rightly so. You have to prove to us that you fixed it before you're going to be eligible for a repair. You can't
Yep.
just say I had a leak and I took care of it. You know, you had to buy parts or pay somebody to fix it.
Well,
Yeah.
that,
As the mayor know, there are requirements to be considered for the leak credit program. And so again, we're just kind of reporting back what customers have said. So walking through this example, under the $100 cap, customer would be responsible for $670 and they only get $100. If we went to the 75%, the credit would be $470. So the city would credit $470 and the customer would pay $300. Okay. That's just to give you some perspective from the customer's perspective. You know, they had something unfortunate happen. They're coming to us. What can you guys do? My bill's $700. I can't pay this. Those are the kind of stories we hear. And so we want to give an example of a common, more normal scenario and the impact that would be. So they are still paying quite a bit from their perspective because it's their regular bill, which could be $200 to $300 plus another $300 on top of that for the leak part. So this is the one that I actually get more worried about. Those are the ones we hear commonly, lots of customers, and right now we only have the $100 credit, so there's not much we can do to help them. They ask what we can do, and I'm bringing it to the finance committee to see if they would consider adjustments. The uncommon or extraordinary circumstances are, say a normal bill is 100,000 gallons, and we have a leak of 3 million. Okay, this is a pipe burst, and we didn't know about it for several weeks. You know, maybe the system wasn't flagging it, the customer didn't know. And then all of a sudden we identify it, the bill comes, and the bill is going to be roughly $23,000. Okay, this is potentially a real scenario for a real person. And so under our current program, again, they ask for any relief, any assistance, and we can say we can give you $100, and that puts them on the hook for $23,300 plus the regular bill. Now under a 75% leak credit program, same scenario, same setup. We would credit the 75%, which would roughly be $17,000. That customer would still be responsible for roughly $6,500 plus their regular bill. So you can see that would actually have a huge impact to the customer under that program, but they still are paying quite a bit regardless. So these are the two examples I kind of want to bring forward, kind of normal, common, and then the extraordinary or uncommon scenario. But these are events that do happen to regular people, regular businesses, and we do hear from them. So I did want to bring that forward for your consideration and thoughts. So one option is to do nothing, stay with the $100, or second option is to make changes, and we can talk about what those changes would be. Again, staff recommended 75% leak credit amount.
Can we do a percent and a cap, a dollar cap? Can we do like 75%, but a $500 cap? So we don't come across that right there.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is for the discussion, right? We can do what the finance committee and council would like to do. I think under a cap of $500, I think if you're that customer, you know, if it has happened to you, for example, Eric, and you didn't know about it, you're going to say $500. I still owe $23,000, And if I don't pay it by next month, you're turning my water off. You know, I think those are the kind of comments we would hear from the customer.
I mean, how many,
I'd like to
how
add
many,
a friendly amendment to Eric's to Councilmember Warden's
sure,
proposal there, because I said I was right with him, Chen, in the same way. I'm
yeah,
okay with 75% with a cap of 500. If your bill is more than 10 times your normal bill, it must be brought back to the Finance Committee for adjudication. Can we do something like that? Right? I wouldn't expect somebody, nor would I want somebody to pay $23,000 for their monthly water bill. I would want that to come back and for us to say, one, we need to figure out how we can stop this from happening in the future, because I think we've already taken care of that. But who knows? Crazier things might happen. But I think when somebody's bill is normally $814 and he gets up to 23,000, we need to be realistic about what somebody can and will pay.
Yeah. My,
Yeah,
my,
yeah.
my pause there is, do you really want to be part of this process? Because becomes subjective. I think you're better off with a math formula, whatever that may be, and maybe there's a cap.
and 23 grand's an insurance claim. I mean, you have lakefront property now. That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
your house is
But
that's
I wouldn't want somebody to get that, is what I'm trying to get at, right? Like, again, there
okay.
has to be a threshold where we just say crazy things happen and we
Hmm.
need to just be able to address that. And I don't know that there's a mechanism to let staff do that. And so you're right, Mayor. No, I don't. But what I'm trying to say is, hey, there's something in code that allows for something like that. But I think we've got all the things in place that would prevent that from happening to begin with. Just my thought.
And Noah, how often? I know the 500 to $1,000 ones are fairly common. I mean, unfortunately, but that $10,000 bill, they happen, but how often? It's usually something commercial because it's a big
Yeah,
water line.
right.
Yeah, I think Eric hit on it. Usually an irrigation commercial, when they start turning on, the leak might not be noticeable. We might not know. They might not know. And and right now our hands are tied. There's nothing we can do to help them in any way. And we did have an account last year, I believe it was, that had something $8,000. So, and they were really adamant, like that they felt very unjust for an 8,000 water bill. And when they had to go through and correct the leak in the system anyway. So
Well,
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm down for the same 5%.
yeah, I'm perfectly fine with the recommended 75% leak credit. I have no issues with that. It helps our citizens. It also gives us, with our new technology, quicker notifications. My only real concern on it is how quickly a plumber, if it is a plumber type situation, could come out. Once it's scheduled, is it a 2 week wait, 3 week wait? That's a bit of a concern, but overall I'm for the 75% leak credit.
What's the concern for
I
how
don't, I
long
don't
it's
think
going to come out?
I don't think it's a valid, because when we know there's a leak, a
Yeah, we
bad
should.
one, we
Yeah,
we shut it off, and
yeah.
then the customer's got to get it fixed, and then we turn the water back on, so the
Okay, so
water
we're
doesn't keep
taking
flowing.
that position of shutting it off. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. If we identified it and notified the customer, we would send crews out to check to see if it's really leaking. And then they would shut off the water and put we shut your water off notice. Please look into this with the plumber. And then we wouldn't
Okay.
turn it back on until it was corrected. And they wouldn't want it on back on until it was corrected.
Right. Well, thanks for that clarity, but I'm still at the 75%. I think that's
Same. I'm good. Yeah.
fair.
Are either of you looking at a cap?
Yeah.
No.
It's water. It's not sewer where you're treating it. Right. Difference.
Can I then throw out a $2,500 cap?
Go ahead.
I think we got to have a cap at some point, because I don't want 75 I don't want 75% of $23,000.
Do you want that bill though, John?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we need a cap and we need to be able to talk that. That's why I wanted to have some kind of adjudication if something happens. And I get that that gets real tricky in there. But now I'm looking at this one person because eventually the way we charge water rates is based off of what we
Usage.
have to do. So that would cause every house, well, more than what I'm doing because I don't know households. I'm just thinking population in my head, almost uh, $1 per every person in the city would have to eat that on that, let alone households, which is probably closer to $4 or $5 per household would have to eat off of one person's bill.
But also a commercial break like that right there, the pipe size. I mean, you're going to lose so much water so much faster than a residential home, And I think we're really talking about residential houses here.
We are talking about all of them because we have commercial breaks too.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So anyhow, I would prefer some kind of maximum, or we get to that point where there's some adjudication. If we're not into that, that I would at least put some, even if it's high, a $2,500 max. But
So $5,000 max.
I'm good with five if that's what we all want to put in, and I think there needs to be a backstop there somewhere.
I'm good with 5 grand, 5,000 max.
All right, that sounds.
Yeah.
Is that a 5,000 cap with something else, John? So like if that's the amount that council would allow staff to do, and then there is some additional consideration to be brought back to the council?
I'm hearing there's no other support for that, so I might just be out there by
No,
myself.
it's not, no. I'm down with it. If someone wants to appeal it to finance committee, I was just. I mean,
I'm not sure you guys want that.
Yeah, I agree with the mayor on this one. I'm not so sure we
How
want
many
that
do you
either.
think we'd get, right? Like, especially that's a great question for Director
You're
Crocker.
not going to say no. I'm
That's true.
certain of it. You're not going to say no.
probably
And you
not.
capped it at 5.
So-
Cap it at a smaller number. If the make it a math equation, man, and don't make it subjective.
I'm down for 75 and 5,000.
Okay. I can live with it. I mean, the beauty of what we do is we can always revisit it and look at
Yep.
it again. So
There you go.
I'm good.
Okay, so where did we end?
75% credit, leak credit, and 5,000 cap.
Yeah.
Writing this down, Mark, for the big report. Big
No,
report.
aren't you doing that, Eric?
Director Crocker, can we?
No, I
add a
actually am.
small-
I caught
Can-
myself.
Director Crocker, can we add a small reporting on this for us moving forward? Saying I want to
Yeah.
start tracking how much we're and just add that to something that this comes to this committee each month, just to
Yeah.
see what the impact is that we're doing.
Maybe quarterly.
Yeah.
Quarterly is fine. I'm okay with that too.
Okay, let's go back to the agenda. That's the last thing I had. So, and then I believe the mayor, you were going to talk a little bit about council training.
Yeah, we thought we had an issue with the budget and the council's training budget. But I was been asking Brandy to give me a spreadsheet, and she gave me that spreadsheet. Yeah, so we put this on the agenda because Brandy raised the alarm that we didn't have enough budget for everybody to go to annual conference because the training, a lot of folks have been going to trainings, in particular our newest council member, which is great. When Brandy gave me the spreadsheet, I pointed out to her, we have a biennial budget. And so we don't have the problem that we thought we had. We have a problem in 2026, but we didn't spend all of 2025. So there's a couple $1,000s left over. So there isn't a problem. But and it's up to you guys. Brandy feels she's in an awkward place. In particular, she thought she was in an awkward place having to possibly tell a council member no. And when it's not proportionate who's getting what resources. And she would prefer in going forward in the next budget that the that whatever that pot is, it's divided by 7, and that's each council member's allotment of that budget. I, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just telling you what Brandy would like. But I'm reporting we don't have a problem this year and what the request from the clerk's office is going forward.
My feedback would be I highly encourage council members to go to trainings.
Agree.
Like, highly encourage it. Yeah, it's tough to. Yeah, I highly encourage it. So whatever we need to do to provide funding for trainings, I encourage it.
I'm gonna echo that sentiment. None of us are professional council members, if you will. So training, I think, is absolutely of the utmost. And our world is, I mean, you guys on staff know this way better than we do, is ever changing. The different policies and code and things coming down to us, and so we need to be updated as well. Um, I also want to say that maybe there's an internal staff change, a procedure change that we can implement for the clerk's office. And I too would agree that I don't think that it's the right place coming from the clerk's office telling a council member no. And maybe that's just something where they need to reach out to Mayor Pro Tem if the mayor doesn't want to take that role on, and have us have those
So,
conversations.
yeah, I think you're missing the question though. The question is, do you want it allocated
No,
one
I do
cent
not.
a piece? That's the only question. I
Right.
don't think even if there was a problem this year, it's minor. It was a few $1,000s. We you I was my request was going to be for you. Everybody needs to go to this training and needs to have that available. And I was going to be asking you guys for a few $1,000s. Okay, that's not the request because we don't have that problem. So you're saying no, and that's fine.
But
I'm just
I just
bringing forward the request from the clerk's office that she would like it proportional shares versus a one big bucket. And you're saying you'd prefer that not? That's fine.
and I just want to give my like the reasoning behind it is again when I go to say an AWC conference, I think the first year Councilmember Trineri didn't go, but last year he did, right? And then Jay
Same.
hasn't gone on either of the 2 years that I've gone, but I've gone both years, right? So I always find value and there's always new stuff. So I would hate to limit somebody's able to go because I did go this year or last year or not. I'd rather us have a conversation because we work as a team inevitably, and I would want as many people trained as possible. So that's the only reason why I say no.
Okay. So you're advocating for just one bucket
Yeah.
and to manage it. Okay. Perfect. That's
I'm advocating for not Brandy to have to break hearts. So
she won't. I'm not. Yeah, she won't. But it was just a. Do you want it
sure.
allocated or just one bucket and we manage the bucket? That's really the question.
One bucket, manage the bucket.
Okay. That's I'll communicate that message. Enough said.
All right.
All right, so anything else for the good of the order? If not, this will conclude today's meeting and we'll see everybody back here in about 40 minutes.
It's a good meeting. I like this one. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care. See you in a bit.